Have you ever felt like your deepest insights, your ability to read people, are more of a curse than a blessing? Imagine this. You're talking to a friend about their relationship. You instantly sense the truth beneath their words, like you've already seen this story play out before. But when you try to explain what you see, they brush it off. You're overthinking again, they say. You walk into a room and feel the heavy tension in the air before anyone even says a word. But you stay silent, because the last time you spoke up, people stared at you like you were imagining things. Or worse, like something was wrong with you. If this sounds familiar, you're not broken. You're what Carl Jung called an introverted intuitive, a rare psychological type. And today we're going deep into why your mind works this way, why your greatest gift feels like a burden, and how to finally turn that curse into power. Through Jung's original insights and years of analysis, we'll uncover the psychological mechanism behind your unique perception, why others can't see what you see, and how to stop doubting yourself because of it. You'll learn how to anchor your internal wisdom into the real world, so it actually makes an impact. You'll discover why Jung believed that people like you are the hidden visionaries of society, those who see patterns no one else notices. In fact, Jung once said, "Without the intuitive introvert, there would be no prophets, no visionaries, no future thinkers." But here's the trap many intuitive introverts fall into. They think, if I have this gift, why is life still so hard? To answer that, we have to start from the beginning. Because this isn't about being shy, and it's definitely not social awkwardness. This is different. Shyness is the fear of being judged. Introversion is the preference for inner depth over external noise. But intuitive introversion? That's something else entirely. It's the ability to pick up subtle emotional signals, unconscious motives, and invisible truths without even trying. And that's where both the power and the pain begin. Most people think you're just unusually intuitive, or worse, imagine you're making things up. But Carl Jung discovered something much deeper. You're not imagining things, you're not being dramatic, and no, you're definitely not crazy. What you're actually doing is perceiving something Jung called inner objects. These aren't physical things you can touch. They're invisible forces, like unspoken emotions, secret fears, and hidden motivations, floating beneath the surface of people's minds. And to you, they're as real as sunlight and rain. You see what others can't. While most people look at the world with their five senses, you see through something else, something far more powerful. You're perceiving through the unconscious mind. You pick up on unspoken truths, subtle energy shifts, and deeper emotional patterns that others completely miss. That moment with your friend, the relationship advice they brushed off, you weren't guessing. You were recognizing something ancient. Jung called these patterns archetypes. They're like invisible storylines that have repeated through every era and culture. The jealous lover, the betraying friend, the wounded hero. They're not just fiction. They're the core templates of human behavior. And you have the rare ability to recognize them instantly. You're tapping into the collective unconscious. That's what Jung called the shared psychological space that holds every human story, symbol, and emotion we've ever lived. You don't just analyze what's in front of you. You receive whole visions, like downloads flashing into your awareness without warning. You're not building insights piece by piece. You're absorbing entire truths in a single moment, because you're connected to a much deeper source of knowing. Carl Jung once said something that only a few truly understand. You perceive all the background processes of consciousness with almost the same distinctness as others register external objects. Translation? While most people see with their eyes, You see with your intuition. You feel the emotional undercurrents in a conversation. You notice what isn't being said more than what is. You catch the patterns others miss completely. And this is not by accident. Jung believed you belong to a rare and essential psychological type, one responsible for shaping human evolution. He didn't say this casually. He wrote, "Had this type not existed, there would have been no prophets in Israel." Let that sink in. You're not broken. You're built to tune into the unseen forces that shape human behavior, culture, and destiny. But here's the twist. Most people assume that deep insight should automatically lead to success. They think, if you're that perceptive, why aren't you thriving? If you understand people so well, why do you still feel misunderstood? If you can see the future, why can't you organize your present? That's where the pain begins. Because Jung discovered a brutal paradox. The deeper your perception goes inward, the more your connection to the outer world weakens. And that's not just frustrating, it's psychologically destabilizing. Jung called this your inferior function, the weakest, most underdeveloped part of your psyche. Here's what it looks like in your life. You can sense a breakup coming weeks before anyone says a word, but you lose your phone 3 times a day. You understand the archetype playing out in someone's emotional trauma, but forget your own doctor's appointment. You give brilliant life advice to others, but your own routines are in chaos. It's not because you're lazy or disorganized. It's because your intuitive mind has hijacked the rest of your system. Jung warned that if this imbalance continues unchecked, your mind starts seeing the outer world, the bills, the schedules, the normal life, as beneath you. You begin living more in symbols than in substance, and that disconnect can turn your gift into a burden. The dangerous cost of ignoring reality. Here's a harsh truth no one tells intuitive introverts. If you keep ignoring the physical world, it doesn't stay silent. It watches, it waits, then one day it strikes back. Hard. Jung warned us, when you push certain aspects of yourself into the unconscious, like responsibility, routine, or financial discipline, they don't just vanish. They become repressed forces. And the more you neglect them, the more pressure they build deep inside. Eventually, that pressure bursts out, and not in quiet ways. Suddenly, you're overwhelmed by anxiety about your bank balance. You become irrationally obsessed with one small health issue. You spend hours cleaning your room, not because you care, but because you're subconsciously trying to feel in control, while the rest of your life quietly collapses. This is the paradox of the intuitive introvert. Your strength, your ability to see what others can't, becomes a curse when you use it to escape reality instead of working with it. Jung called this psychic imbalance. A mind that lives in the clouds eventually falls because it forgets to build the ground beneath it. Now, here's the part no one talks about enough. You don't have to kill your gifts to survive. You just have to balance them. Most people try one of 2 things. They either suppress their intuitive nature completely and become someone they're not, or they ignore the practical world entirely and spiral into chaos. Both paths lead to misery, but Jung offered a third way, a powerful middle path: integration. To integrate means to befriend the neglected parts of your psyche. It's like becoming the CEO of your inner world, where every part of you gets a seat at the table, even the messy, boring ones. And guess what? That's when real inner power starts to emerge. Let's break this down into real, usable steps. 1. Ground yourself in the senses. Forget about spiritual enlightenment or cosmic visions for a second. Just come back to the present. Take mindful walks. Feel the texture of your clothes. Smell the air. Touch the ground. This isn't about insight. It's about embodiment. Why does this matter? Because when you return to your body, you bring the unconscious back into awareness. That's where integration begins. 2. Systematize the mundane. Let's be honest, you'll never be great at remembering deadlines or staying organized. That's not your gift, and that's okay. But here's what works. Set up automatic systems for bills, for tasks, for check-ins. Use visual cues like sticky notes and alarms. Keep your routines stupidly simple. Repetition is your best friend. Don't fight your nature. Work with it. 3. Make your inner world accountable. Jung's technique of active imagination wasn't just about creativity. It was about dialogue, having real conversations with the symbolic parts of your unconscious. When you get an intuitive insight, don't blindly follow it. Ask it, why are you showing me this? How can I test this in the real world? What are you not telling me? By challenging your inner world, you refine it. You stop being a passive dreamer and become a conscious creator. Your intuitive mind is a rare gift, but if left unchecked, it can isolate you, confuse you, and lead you into chaos. Carl Jung didn't want you to sacrifice your soul for survival. He wanted you to merge the soul and the world, to live with both feet on the ground and your eyes still pointed toward the stars. That's the path of the integrated mind, the true gift. Here's the part no one ever tells you. When you stop resisting the ordinary parts of life and start embracing them, you don't lose your intuitive power. You amplify it. You gain something even rarer, the ability to channel vision into impact. Carl Jung didn't admire intuitive types because they had wild ideas. He admired them because they had the potential to turn deep insight into real transformation. Once they learned to balance, this is where the magic happens. You stop being the person who sees everything but does nothing, and become the person who can both see deeply and act effectively. You stop floating and start building. You stop feeling misunderstood and start becoming someone others turn to for clarity and direction. That's real power, and the world desperately needs more of it. Remember how this all started? You thought your insight was a curse. You thought being too sensitive or too deep was a flaw. But you were never broken. You were just incomplete. You were trying to fly with one wing. Integration is how you grow the second. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And when you do that, you don't just understand the world. You shape it. Stay on this path. Be intentional. Be humble. Be real with yourself. You don't have to give up your gift to survive in this world. You just have to learn how to carry it without collapsing under its weight. Thanks for watching. If this resonated, if you've ever felt torn between your inner depth and outer demands, then hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you're ready to stop living in your head and start making it your home base instead of your prison. And share this with someone whose gift feels like a burden. Let's walk this path together. Peace.